Hey, what's up, y'all? Monique Melton here. I want to talk to you about mommy guilt and how it's a sign of a bigger problem. As always, we are going to have a deeper conversation about this in the Shine Bright School, but today is just a little sample. When my kids were a lot younger, I can recall so many of my mommy friends and mommy just colleagues, comrades. We would have these conversations and folks were always talking about feeling guilty for doing just basic self-care, like going to the restroom and wanting to have a moment to yourself or wanting to eat your meal without someone either asking you to do something or asking for it or wanting to have time with your friends or just really wanting to have an identity outside of motherhood. This idea of mommy guilt is something that many of us, whether we have little ones or much older kids, have somehow grappled with. And I want to tell you one thing is that mommy guilt is a symptom of a bigger problem. And that bigger problem is a part of white supremacy, specifically patriarchy and internalized misogyny. Because the thing is, when you have a group of people who are deemed as inferior in society because of gender and race, so for example, as a Black woman who's a Black mother, when you have a group of people who are treated as though they are a second class citizen, there are certain types of oppression, there are certain types of realities that we are constantly facing. And one of them is that we are told that our identity is in motherhood. And so, therefore, to want something or to seek something outside of that is somewhat of a taboo, something that is really considered as wrong, something to feel shameful about. When in reality, it's all a myth and it's all toxic beliefs that we internalize. And then we even share and spread them amongst other mothers. Even as a mother, when we are being harmed by these toxic beliefs, we then project those beliefs and share them amongst our mommy friends and reinforce this construct of feeling guilty for wanting to just be seen and treated and enjoy life as a human being, as a whole human being. And this idea of mommy guilt continues to fester and continues to be passed along without really stopping and saying, wait a minute, let's examine this for a moment. Why am I feeling guilty for wanting to have an identity outside of my role and my responsibilities of a mother? And not only why, but who does it benefit? Who does it benefit for me to operate under this guilt and to govern myself according to this guilt? Who's profiting from me operating under this guilt? So there's a lot to think about when we're talking about this internalized misogyny. And it's something to really also notice is that men typically, especially cisgender hetero men, are not struggling with daddy guilt when they want to go hang out with the boys or when they want to go on a trip. They're not dealing with that. You know why? Because their identity is not defined by fatherhood. Although there is a whole other conversation to that. Another thing I want to say though, because we don't have time to get into all of it. Another thing I want to say is that when you are saying, I feel mommy guilt or I'm feeling guilty for wanting time for myself or wanting to do something or wanting to go on a trip, wanting to travel, wanting to, again, have an identity outside of your role and responsibility as a mother, I want to remind you that you get to have boundaries. You get to set limits. You get to decide that I need care in this way, and I absolutely deserve to be cared for just as much as my children that I'm caring for deserve to be cared for as well. You don't have to be a martyr. You don't have to sacrifice your whole self in order to be a present mother. Okay. And the last thing I want to say is if you are feeling mommy guilt and you're not doing something that's actually harmful, if you're doing something that is harmful, you should feel guilty about that. But wanting to take a nap and get some rest, wanting to have some time to yourself, wanting to have boundaries, setting limits, that's not harmful. Okay. But in case you're finding yourself feeling guilty, okay, this is especially for new moms, but any mom, if you're finding yourself feeling that mommy guilt, like you're not supposed to enjoy life outside of your children, if you find yourself feeling guilty for not wanting to spend every moment with your child, if you find yourself wanting to have time to yourself, but feeling guilty because what does that mean then as a mother? Like all those different things that come up, those toxic beliefs that are not your own, I want to offer you a couple things. One, you are a whole person before you became a mother, while you're a mother. Okay. You are always a whole person and you get to see and treat and regard yourself as such. Second, your role in life isn't only to be a mother. Your sole responsibility in life isn't just in one thing, actually. You have many responsibilities. And one of those primary responsibilities is you. You need to take care of you. And in order to take care of yourself, there is no self care without community care and without collective community support where you're poured in and you're also being poured into. So I want to encourage you to make sure that you're also inviting community and connections that come in community to take good care of yourself because you have a role and you have responsibilities outside of motherhood and taking care of yourself is one of those major responsibilities. Obviously, there's tons of nuance that we can acknowledge there, but it is also important to acknowledge that self care and community care have to be done in unison. There is no just, I'm going to be about me and mine and forget community. Community care is crucial. And I want to ask you, how often are you reaching out to your community and saying, hey, I need help in this way? Or how often are you reaching out to your community and saying, hey, I want to offer support and help in this way? Community should be an opportunity for reciprocity. And that is so important. And the last thing I want to say is when you're feeling that mommy guilt, ask yourself, what do I need right now? Maybe you need a reminder. Maybe you need to have a list of affirming statements. Maybe you need to call a friend who's going to support and encourage you. It's creating boundaries and limits. Maybe you need to take a deep breath. I'm not quite sure what you need in every moment, and you're going to figure that out along the way. But I do want to ask you and invite you to explore how is mommy guilt showing up in your world and how you see and treat yourself, but also how you see and treat other mothers. Thank you so much for tuning in to this really brief but really important conversation. I hope that this little sample is intriguing you to learn more within the Shine Bright School community. We invite you to check it out today. And as always, keep shining brighter together.